I want a sandwich. Now. Oh, sandwich wench. Yo, wench. Sandwich. Now. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. Oh, sandwich wench. I want a sandwich. Sandwich.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the political... Yeah, I haven't done this in a while. Welcome back to Moisky Live, yes, for another political recap stream, there we go. Joining me to talk about some stuff, it's been 2 weeks, is Trups. Say hi, Trups. That sounded great. Sorry, say hello again, I'm sorry.
Hello, Trups.
Yeah, in the audio on Spotify and Rumble, you're going to hear that, but I forgot to... Just as he said hello, Trups, I remembered to pull the audio back up.
Ah.
I'm so sorry. Basically, he did a great sound. I'll do the cork on YouTube for those who didn't.
The cork.
Yes. I have a bottle near me, thankfully, obviously. How are you, Trups?
I'm alright, how are you?
I'm okay. I'm a bit, obviously, irked. It's been a big change over here for me, content-wise, for the past 2 weeks. In the sense that, obviously, I've moved from my bedroom to my cabin full-time, owing to BT being useless. No lie, they... my sister was trying to deal with them in DMs on Twitter, and they were like, we can just talk to your brother directly. And I sent them instead a video showing them the problem. And they're like, oh, you did this wrong. And I'm like, you gave me square brackets. As far as I'm concerned, you gave me explicit instructions, and I followed them because your square brackets told me to. And then I sent them another video because they thought I used my Wi-Fi box in my cabin, in my bedroom. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to say, I sent them another video saying, hi, Meg here again for an electric boogaloo. Apparently, a few things need to be corrected before we proceed any further. Firstly, this Ethernet cable is a brand new one that was quite expensive, braided, it's delightful, that runs from my bedroom, 20 metres worth of it, all the way down to the BT box. Now, of course, I can take you on an adventure to not only destroy the One Ring, but also show you that, or you can take my sodding word for it. I then showed them all the trace RTs on websites I couldn't get on, including apps as well. I then DNS flushed, I cleared everything. I even uninstalled browsers to reinstall them, which I had to use my phone as a hotspot to do because I couldn't get on the sodding internet to do it. Yet I could watch YouTube. I can't get on... Yeah, I can't get on Amazon Prime to watch videos. I can't get on Twitter, Rumble, Twitch. I can't get on Steam. I can't get on Discord. And yet I can watch videos on YouTube. Fuck off with this. Don't take the piss out of me. You're doing something is wrong.
So fucking confusing.
I have replaced so many things on my computer. It's cost me far too much. It's not my computer though, because I tested my laptop on the same Ethernet cable in the house. I can't connect to the Wi-Fi and I can't use the Ethernet internet in the house either. The only internet access I have is my phone as a hotspot or the box in my cabin. And I'm like, well, I have no choice then. I have to go to my cabin now full time and use it up here instead. So since Tuesday last week, I have fully been up here doing videos and streams. And it's fucked me. I mean, I don't mind. I've gotten used to it now. It's actually quite good. But it annoys me because I can't use my computer. I like multiple screens. I feel I'm having to use my tablet here so I can keep an eye on the chat. Hello, chat. Because I can't do anything otherwise. Hell, I had set this up with a basic image. I forgot to put transfer a bunch of images from the computer over. Because I can't send them to myself. I have to use a memory stick because people still use those. Oh my god.
Ancient.
Yes.
I love this ancient technology. Honestly, I like that. I feel like I could probably fix your stuff, but I would have to you'd have to video call me and
they have to do it at some
point the
point.
Screen at the config. And
the problem is I can't get on Discord on my PC, so I'd have to do it on my tablet and then just turn the camera around so you can see everything.
Jesus.
The app won't load. I don't get it. How's your week been anyway? your last 2 weeks?
Well, I went to LARP. It was a good event.
Oh, good. I'm
Hot.
glad it was. Oh yeah.
Yes, we are now comfortably in summertime.
Oh, good. I'm glad you are.
So that was always nice and toasty.
Yeah.
And other than that, I mean, things are moving in directions.
Oh, hang on.
Fine.
Trup's mic seems low. Okay, I'll turn him up. There we go. I'll make you louder than me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, actually, you are low. Actually, oh, interesting.
Somebody did say that my mic was a little bit lower in Discord the other day. So, thank you, MJ. I appreciate that.
Speak again, Trups.
Hello.
Okay, you seem all right now. Thank you, MJ, for the gifted membership.
Hold on. Did you get a membership to your own channel?
I did, yes. I've had that. Someone did that on my main channel as well once, and I thought it was hilarious.
That's hilarious.
I mean, sweet. I'll take it. Membership.
Woo!
I got one. Okay, fair enough. Okay, right. So should we start with the subject you mentioned at the beginning? Because I don't know what that was about.
Okay, so today, the Supreme Court has basically cut down the bump stock ban that had been in place after the Las Vegas incident in 2017.
Right. What is a bump stock? Because I'm not. I assume it's something to do with guns.
A bump stock is essentially it's an apparatus that you would attach to the lower end and the back end of. I'm trying to be as like rudimentary basic as possible.
Please be, because I don't know.
To your rifle, and essentially what it allows is a bit of give as you bump it forward and back. You would basically hold it forward, bump it back, and you would keep your finger in the same place. And the idea would be that the trigger would pull multiple times without you actually having to move your finger.
Okay.
And this would create a pseudo rapid rate of fire.
Okay.
That is the briefest and the most basic of overviews I can give you. Okay.
Very well. That's information I can remember.
Now, as it was in the past, and the biggest problem with this is that pundits, politicians provide bad information a lot of the time.
Okay.
So this all stems from the Las Vegas incident. I'm sure everybody in the chat probably remembers this, as it was one of the biggest incidents of its kind, in which a country music festival was targeted in Las Vegas, and there were a lot of casualties.
Is that the one that happened near the slot machines?
No, this is the one where the guy was basically in like the 30-something floor and shot down into a essentially
no.
Yeah. No, this was brutal. But they alleged, and I say they, I mean the police alleged, based on the things that they found, that the reason why or how he was able to shoot as rapidly as he was because he was using a bump stock. Regardless of how you think that was working out,
surely there's a more
that's what they said. That's what they said.
Surely there's a more efficient way of being a bit quicker. I mean, they would have access to this person's firearm, so I guess that may be how they determined it.
Yes, they do have access to his firearms as well. A whole bunch of things that they found in the hotel room.
I know which one it is now.
And the things that weren't found in the hotel room, which were odd, like the hard drive in the laptop, that was mysteriously missing. Anyways,
that sounds sus.
But so after the incident, the political wing essentially went into overdrive, trying to basically, let's find something to blame for this incident and let's pass some legislation. Well, turned out to be an executive authority. It was the ATF under the Trump administration who basically banned it.
Right.
So here's what U.S. News uses to describe the incident. The shooting, the deadliest I'm just gonna say the word. Sorry. The deadliest mass shooting in recent U.S. history was carried out by a gunman who used AR-15s equipped with bump stock. He fired 1,000 rounds in 11 minutes, killing 60 people and wounding more than 400 more. In December 2018, the ATF ruled that rifles equipped with bump stocks qualified as machine guns, which have been highly regulated since 1986. The National Firearms Act defines a machine gun as any weapon which shoots, is designed to shoot, or can be readily restored to shoot automatically more than one shot without manual reloading by a single function of the trigger. That last part's really important.
Right.
Based on Clarence Thomas's opinion, which I also have here, he basically says that based on how the bump stock actually functions, that it's not a single function of the trigger.
Right.
ATF argues that a shooter using a bump stock must pull the trigger only one time to initiate a bump firing sequence. This argument rests on the mistaken premise that there is a difference between the shooter flexing his finger to pull the trigger and pushing the firearm forward to bump the trigger against his stationary finger. Moreover, the ATF's position is logically inconsistent because its reasoning would also mean that a semi-automatic rifle without a bump stock is capable of firing more than one shot by a, quote, single function of the trigger. Yet ATF agrees this is not the case. So theoretically, if I kept my finger in the same place and I just moved the gun back and forth, that is essentially where they're going with this whole argument. So Clarence Thomas basically said, look, that's not the case, and there requires manual input, and it's not just the same as I hold down trigger, gun go burr.
I like the descriptor. This, by the way, is a fascinating education lesson for me. I don't know any of this.
That's perfectly fine. A lot of people don't. Now, I was listening to MSNBC on the way home, and the way that they described the things that I just read, the last thing that I had just read was literally the Clarence Thomas opinion.
Right.
They described it as gun fetishist fan fiction. And I'm like, no, this is technically correct. This is not fan fiction. This is completely accurate. Like, it's a semi-auto.
Yeah.
That does semi-auto things, but you are having an assist to make it shoot no, it's not. It's
not the same.
And they're arguing that it's contrived, it's pedantic, right? Like, to get into this level of technicality is somehow like an offense to everybody who is like suffering somehow. They were like,
surely,
so many people, have had these. So we're approaching Father's Day, and there are families of people who have been.
Oh, any excuse to dig your head back.
I'm like, oh, shut up.
It's such a head in the sand kind of thing. Of I just want to. I'm so over this. Let's move on. Like, no. Everything must be debated. Everything must be discussed. Everything must be understood. It doesn't matter whose feelings are hurt in the process. If you don't do that, you are not doing your job properly. Hello, dog.
And some of the arguments that they had made was basically like, oh, the Supreme Court is legislating from the bench. Yeah. It's not the Supreme Court's job to decide what is clean water, what defines a particle, what is not a bump stock, or what is not an assault rifle. I argue, sure, fine, let's go with that. However, I then argue that non-legislative bodies are not allowed to make or enforce laws.
I kind of agree.
So the ATF can no longer make up shit because they think so. They must present it to Congress, and Congress must make a decision and act upon it.
Yeah.
Before you start prosecuting somebody over essentially what is an administrative body legislating without oversight.
Yeah.
Like ATF, and there are EPA, and I think there's several other non-governmental but executive bodies that can actually make laws that don't get checked by um, the Supreme Court automatically. They would need to be challenged and then brought to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And that is honestly fucking scary. We shouldn't allow that because that's not our legislative body. They're not representing us. Why can they make laws for us?
So there's a few comments in the chat of interest. Chaos and MJ not really fond of the police. That's fair. Trust is very difficult to earn when you experience or live through far too much that doesn't help them. Poppy here says the problem is Thomas. Everyone hates him at the moment. Is that true? I would assume there must be some negativity.
Yeah, everybody hates Thomas right now, but the reason why everyone hates Thomas is because Clarence Thomas has been in the news lately.
Is that the money one?
Somebody, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, him and Alito, which if you track the political
I know who Alito is.
opinions of these two individuals, you'll notice there's a trend.
Yeah.
They basically hate the most outspoken conservative justices.
Okay. Bry, people who know nothing about firearms are not qualified to talk about firearms, and that's actually something I think is true too. That doesn't mean legislator at the House is going to understand it, but it is supposed to follow that path at least.
I agree with that. The only time you can talk about firearms without knowing about firearms is if there's a question mark next to it.
I mean, that's what I do. I know.
If you're seeking information, feel free.
Yeah, I've only ever fired a shotgun, and that was clay pigeon shooting when I shot a rabbit as a kid. Because we were hunting, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you do.
Yeah, totally.
You see that, Meg? Yeah. Just aim your gun and pew pew. All right, sweet. Bang. Pop. Done. Wabbit stew.
Nice.
Yeah, I know nothing about guns. This is an interesting one. So it got overturned then, yeah?
Yes, it did.
Fair enough. I am interested by the point of it's not really a Supreme Court issue because the Supreme Court, I thought they only dealt with things in the Constitution.
So no, the Supreme Court is essentially they perform a judicial oversight of various different pieces of legislation and government, but they are a third branch of government that essentially makes sure that nobody's being prosecuted unfairly. And in order to appeal your case up to the Supreme Court, you basically have to, go through the motions. Sometimes you can get all the way to the Supreme Court without having to go through all the motions.
Yeah.
But usually that's a petition that you would have to submit and they would have to agree to.
Okay.
Their job is to make sure that laws do follow the Constitution, but also to make sure that the way that laws are being written and enforced don't overstep that which they were written to do.
Okay.
If you consider in a D&D context, the Supreme Court are quite literally the rules lawyers. Like, if I say that this spell only works in 5 feet and you're, a little bit more than 5 feet away, I'm sorry, but that does not pan out.
Distance and range are vitally important.
Yes, they are. And if it's a straight line, then diagonals do not always count. It depends.
Some people don't understand the rules.
No. But yes, so that is essentially where that whole shtick goes. And that is why their job is so vitally important, but it is also why people have such a interested view in the Supreme Court, because they are not elected, they are appointed, and then they are approved by Congress.
Yes.
A lot of people look at it as this is potentially a instance of we are not being represented by these people who are enforcing the laws, but they're not technically enforcing laws. They are basically judging whether or not the law itself is kosher. You know what I mean?
Yes, no, I understand. It's basically what we have with committee hearings. The House of Lords is our oversight.
Right. So yeah, that's kind of like where they go. There is a valid point, though, to that the Supreme Court should not legislate from the bench. I think there's a fair point to say there. However, there are bits and pieces that we need to. Sometimes there's nuance in that we need to address. Um,
Okay.
Historically speaking, things like Brown v. Board of Ed, which was a segregation issue, where they said, oh God, which one was Brown v. Board of Ed? Board of Ed. I think it was separate is not equal. Yes. The whole idea that separate but equal is not quite equal. So if I'd say, oh, well, there's a school for blacks and there's a school for whites. Well, yes, but the quality of those two things are very, very different.
Yeah. Okay, I
So
understand.
separate is not always equal. That was an instance where I would argue that they were, in fact, legislating from the bench, but I think it was valid. But anyway, so that's kind of like where that's going. I thought it was interesting, and I figured it would be a nice little move in before we get into.
I mean, it is, because it's 20 minutes of the show. I'm okay with that.
So, do you want to talk about the fact that Europe is apparently going to become a
far right national populist
yes.
movement? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Basically, recently, the European Parliament has had elections in a number of countries, and far-right fascist populism is massively on the rise. More notably, in France. Macron's party, Socialism Party, got annihilated. The National Rally, which is the far-right party in France, it was projected to win with 31.5% of the vote, more than twice that of Emmanuel Macron's own Socialist Party. Because of this, which, by the way, just proves the point of how France is a bit shit, really, because he's because of the consequences, he's begging all the moderate parties to unite behind him to deal with the far right. That's not how you deal with the far right, but all right. Okay, fair enough. Marine Le Pen is crushing it right now in France. And it's not only this country. There's a rise in Germany. Italy has a new prime minister, after all. This is happening in other countries. It's on the rise. Right-wing populism, and you can call it far-right if you like, I don't care. It's on the rise because this is what happens. It swings. It will constantly swing. You can try and silence it or curtail it, but you're not tackling the problem. You're just trying to guilt people who vote this way. It's like, fam. Are they doing the fascism right, Charlie? No, they're not. But anyway, National Rally got a massive amount of European Union election seats because it's not by percentage and representation. You get a number of seats based on that. And Macron, the socialist lover of Justin Trudeau, the Canadian cuck who's actually Fidel Castro's son, Emmanuel Macron called for a snap general election, which is the biggest. I mean, it's a bit. If he wins, it's a Chad move. Because it was an election not so long ago, and he only just won that against Marine Le Pen, and now he's doing it again, yet again against Marine Le Pen. I mean, there are other moderate parties, yes, but the reality is, and thank you, Penguin, again for the gifted memberships. I really appreciate that. Thank you for Space Kitty. What Space Kitty? There's a dog on my lap, if that counts. But yeah, so he's called for an election, and who is it? National Rally is headed by Jordan Bardella, and they said that the President of the Republic cannot remain deaf to the message sent this evening by the people of France. Now, the leader, Bardella, has demanded that Macron call early legislative elections, pointing to the unprecedented gap between main opposition party and the party in power. The election is happening in just over 2 weeks. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to this because there are two sets of elections going on right now in my area of the world. You've got France, and you've got England. We got the UK general election. UK, I guess, actually. I find this fascinating. Now, Macron has come out and said that he wants all the democratic parties to join his camp to defeat the extremes. Now he said, I'll quote. I'm not going to read it in French because I can't be asked. I'll translate. Returning to the sovereign people is, in my opinion, the only Republican decision in this context. Do we think that Republican Party leader Mr. Ciotti and the Republicans who follow him, who up until now explained that the ruling majority was too lax and that we needed to rein in our public spending faster, would govern effectively with the far-right National Rally, whose programme has been independently costed of €100 billion a year for our taxpayers? ? Rejecting the extremes, Macron then said we must first and foremost continue relentlessly to act for greater security and state firmness, and implement the laws that have been passed like our European texts to reduce illegal immigration. Well, that's not going to happen because Europe has opened. Many people are starting to push this idea, and I saw it with Owen Jones, again, opening his mouth and writing checks full of bullshit. People are saying that UK and many countries need more people from other countries to come here, whether they be legal or illegal or skilled or not, so that we can train them to be useful. I'm like, no. Come here if you've got something to offer us. Go earn that and then come here. Simple as that. I don't support open borders. Labour are going to win this election anyway. It doesn't matter. Or maybe we'll get to that later actually. But yeah, no, Macron's called for an election and he's yet again ignoring the oblivious problem. He is basing it on costing of National Rally, but he's ignoring the fact that the EU basically control him. He's ignoring Owen Jones is a clown, I agree, Lisa. He's ignoring the fact that this rise in right-wing populism is entirely because of his left-wing socialism failing. Rein in spending. Well, you're a socialist, your public spending is always unmanageable. It's always that way. Macron's a moron, and I hope he loses. He's called for the other minor parties. They're called the Social Democrats, Greens, Christian Democrats, which is hilarious considering the state of Paris. He's called on them to all unify behind him because he wants men and women of goodwill who are able to say no to extremes to join together to be able to build a joint project. What a load of tosh.
Doesn't that sound like almost like what the mustache man said?
I mean, he could have said Avengers Assemble and it would still sound like dog shit from him. Like, honestly.
I don't know. That kind of sounds like they're trying to build the Senate shall be reorganized into the first galactic empire.
It's when maybe if he starts to suggest perhaps that camps need to exist, then there might be even more of a point there. It's when he hires a guy called Le Goebbels. You've got a problem. Until then, you're fine. Le Goebbels. Yeah. You've got to go with the French interpretation. So it'll be Le Goebbels. No S. France is hilarious. I'm looking forward. Yes, I can just see it when I look out the ocean. I'm looking forward to these elections for France because Marine Le Pen last time did really well, and while I don't support her beliefs, I want to see some of this shift in the. There's a stool in the fucking living room, you peasant. My friend has just come into the room and sat on the floor.
Hi, Dave.
Right. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Mac.
No, I think that is it the Overton window? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
It's shifting again. It did it 10 years ago. It did it 50. Although, to be honest, the UK's gone through it a bit quicker. And it's happening obviously in your country. It's happening in France. It's happening in Italy as well with the recent election. Although we'll get to Biden's. I mean, that wasn't the one I was thinking of, but that'll do.
It was the first one above the door.
A little grey footstool. Fair enough. Pour yourself a drink if you'd like one.
From which selection?
Anyone will do. Anyway, yes. So, shall we move on from France to talk about a different country?
Sure.
Do you want to talk about your election, or your president being a twat, or the Conservative and Unionist Party manifesto?
I mean, we can talk about mine being a twat.
Cool, because the Conservative manifesto is 80 pages and I haven't read it.
Okay.
Let's do yours.
So, I guess which part do you want to go through? Because we've got a couple of weeks of twattery. We can start with like the G7 conference where they thought that he shit himself.
Oh god, yeah, I put that on the thumbnail. Although I think someone did say he was looking for a seat.
Yes, that was. I saw a longer video, and yes, it did look like he was in fact looking for a seat.
Don't think it helps that in the shorter video he does that, and then looks like he's being walked away by his wife.
Yes, actually, I think we had talked about that. I think that was 2 weeks ago, so we don't have to touch on that too much more. That being said, the Biden actually got upset recently because he
TikToker.
was.
He told off a TikToker at the White House. Is that the one you're talking about?
Was that the one who asked him the question about Gaza when he wasn't supposed to?
Yeah, it might have been because I've got the video.
Yeah.
I've got the video. Hang on, I can pull it up.
Yeah.
I'll put it on. I'll link it to you as well so you can see it. Where are you? We're here. There you go. The video is on the article. I'm just gonna.
Yes. Okay, this was what I was thinking.
I'm gonna play it. I need people to actually see it. Where's this? I need 2 screens. This is beyond frustrating. TV screen. Here we go. No. There? No, it's not showing. Oh, really? Really? All right. Be a dickhead. There we go. Right. What triggered Joe Biden? It's Daily Mail. I'm really sorry. Here's the video.
On college campuses, in which you basically remarked that they were anti-Semitic protests. And I'm wondering
crap
if you
sticks.
still stand by that statement, and also why you just signed a bill giving $26 billion more to Israel in the midst of what is plausibly considered a genocide by the ICJ.
The answer is twofold. Number one, Israel's security from the region.
Oh my God. I'm going to pause. He sounds like a geriatric.
I know. Isn't it just
Twofold, and then he stops. I get it. He's nah. I can't be arsed.
We've said this before, and I still think it's true.
He does tell him off, by the way, in the video. I'm just not going to go there because I feel so much pity.
Well, I mean, he kind of tells him off in the beginning, which is essentially,
yeah, I missed.
You guys don't follow the rules, do you?
Someone did try to take the mic away. Okay. So the poop gate, that wasn't him trying to poop himself then, no?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think it was, but I will admit I did laugh at it when I saw it.
It looked pretty bad. Though there was another video that was going around today that was basically him like walking off.
Oh, the G7.
No.
Because
I think he was talking to a parachuter.
Yeah. G7. It was G7 because there were other world leaders from European Union there. I saw Ursula von der Leyen and Emmanuel Macron because he met and Rishi Sunak. They were all looking up at it. Biden puts his glasses on, and when they're looking at the guy on the floor with the parachute, Biden sods off, and the Italian Prime Minister has to bring him back. And when he meets her, instead of shaking her hand, he tries to salute her first.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
He needed his wife there, or an adult.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Italian Prime, I think Meloni, I think her name is.
Yeah, Meloni, that's her name. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, had to play babysitter for Biden.
She did. It was quite funny. He just looked so out of place. It was a skydiving demonstration in Italy. Giorgia Meloni taps Biden, directs him back to the group where he slowly puts on his glasses and stands still. I mean, the standing still thing he could have done with his sunglasses at that dancing thing as well, where you saw Harris trying to teach her white husband how to dance, which was hilarious because she couldn't dance. And there's Biden, well, everyone around him is dancing, and he's just stood there like he's having a seizure on the spot.
I don't want to say it's shameful, but it's shameful.
I like that during Trump's time, he got done for being too active on Twitter. Your president is current president's active on Twitter, being the most unpresidential he could possibly be, and no one's calling it out.
There is not one single person
that believes
who genuinely believes that he's the one responsible for his Twitter account.
Honestly, that Twitter account is. I've bookmarked so many of Biden's tweets this week. I counted how many times they could insert Trump into a tweet, and it was in the double digits.
Dude, if they could honestly start talking about legitimate policy,
that'd be nice.
It would be.
But
and they've tried a couple times. It's just never been good.
But they're getting close to getting ratioed now. And the issue with the lack of talking about policy is certainly when it comes to your style of election, it's not so much about substance, it's a pantomime. So
Well,
it's
that's true too.
so they're not. They don't have to look like this. I'm looking forward to these debates because when they do any discussion on anything that could be substance based or substantive, yeah. I can imagine it will then just devolve down to, you're convicted 34 times, and back to Biden.
Mm-hmm.
How's your son doing in prison? He's getting sentenced, isn't he? For the wrong thing.
So actually, fun story about that. Just a quick aside. The Hunter Biden thing is actually hilarious because
I know.
a lot of the people on Twitter were complaining that, or they were parodying the MAGA's response when Trump had gotten, found guilty of all his felonies.
Yeah.
They were like, "Oh, your justice system's rigged. Am I doing it right?"
I love the meme of I think it was liberals wearing a shirt with Trump's convicted mugshot on, and then they're smiling while wearing it, and then the face drops when the meme says MAGA people when they see MAGA people wearing the exact same shirt. I think that shit's hilarious, and I saw the conviction thing and I thought, is this real? I didn't realize they'd actually managed to get Hunter Biden on anything anyway. I feel like it comes across as setting him up for a fall guy to distract from other things.
I honestly think, by the way, that the Hunter Biden conviction,
right?
I think it's bad, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't think that a person should be stripped of their constitutional firearm rights. It says shall not be infringed. It doesn't say shall not be infringed unless you lied on a government document.
That is fair.
It says shall not be infringed. So arguably, they could go and complain that it's not true fucking justice. Okay, sure, I'll go with that.
Yeah,
but that would mean that they would have to want to support people who believe in gun rights, and they will never do that.
In the context of what's about to happen, I mean, part of me was I was discussing this the other night with somebody when I'd heard about it. My first thought was, I can imagine if he is convicted, if he is given a sentence, if Biden loses, the last thing he'll do will be issue a presidential pardon for his own son.
Probably.
I kind of see it.
Yeah, I can see it.
I
wouldn't even be all that upset, honestly.
I got that from. I got that. My mind went to the West Wing. That's how I got that idea in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
if they do that, I will say though that a lot of people are going to look at it, and regardless of whether or not it's a fair thing to have done, everyone's gonna say, "Well, yeah, of course he was gonna do that." The unfortunate part, and this is one of those like damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of things.
Yeah.
If he doesn't, then his argument that he is all for, keeping his, caring about his son and whatnot.
Yeah.
I don't see it if you're gonna let him go to prison. Just saying. Like, come on. If dad is out there and has the ability to save his son, why not? Go on, do it.
I still think he will. I think he'll save his son.
He should if he wants to play the game of I'm a caring father.
I don't think though,
any father would.
I don't think he'll do it during the election though. If he does get sentenced, he won't do it during. That is bad optics all over.
Right. Well, all of this is bad optics, and that's why he's been so reticent to do so at all. He doesn't want to touch that because the moment he does, everyone is going to look at him and go, okay. We will we will use that to our advantage. Oh, Joe Biden, he's subverting the rule of law, blah, blah, blah.
I think he's forgotten. To be fair, I can imagine he's forgotten, so he's not really paying attention.
I mean, he did go see him after that whole thing happened, so I don't know if he forgot. But certainly, there's some questions to be had about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Though I do genuinely think
do you
The
think?
conviction. I think that the reason why they even let uh, the conviction go through, because I don't know if you remember, but there was this whole plea deal beforehand. Like they were going to try and do everything they could to keep him out of any kind of uh, harm's way. Anything that could have made him look bad, right?
Yeah.
I think the reason why they let him go through with all of the shit is because the campaign needs him to go away.
Which one needs to go away, Joe or Hunter?
The campaign, Biden's campaign, needs Hunter to go away.
Is he actually on the campaign trail with his dad? Or is he just
No,
drawing too much
but
attention?
everything relating to Biden, like Joe Biden,
Yeah.
is cursory attached to Hunter's
Oh, yeah.
behavior. Think about it.
I'm fascinated by
Hunter's
this because
laptop.
I'm impressed they managed to get this through as quick as they did with Hunter Biden's laptop after all the years of nothing happening. It's really good timing and bad timing at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the
Sure.
convictions of Trump. It's good and bad, depending
Right.
on your and based on the fact that it's no, it's just good or bad. Really, it's funny for us.
True.
I saw Trump recently. He went on Impulsive, Logan Paul's podcast, didn't he?
He did.
They did it on Mar-a-Lago, and at the end of it, they were talking about getting Joe Biden on. I thought
That
was clever.
there was a hilarious TikTok that he had made where they did a face-off with each other,
Yeah,
and like he had a boxing belt behind him.
yeah.
And if I tell you that was amazing to witness, I was just thrilled to see, because basically they did a face-off and then Trump broke character, started laughing, and they hugged each other. I'm like, this is genius. This is absolutely genius marketing.
I'm gonna go to
I'm
Logan
so
Paul's
proud
TikTok
of
and see if I can
everybody.
find it.
Donald Trump's TikTok.
Oh yeah, he's he's got one now, hasn't he?
He's
got more followers than Biden in one day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not a boxing belt. It's the US champion belt for WWE.
Ah.
I can't play the audio. I'm going to have to mute this because it's got music. I'll put it on the screen. Yeah, here it is. I'm logged into my Not With Cork account. Yeah. US champion WWE belt. They changed the belt recently.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they changed the belt. The US champion belt looks like dog shit now. But you know what? I don't pay attention to wrestling as much these days, so it's fine. Yeah, I can't play the audio because I heard it briefly. It's a song. I can't get away with that. But I'll link it in the chat if anyone wants. Actually, no, I can't. It's Trump. I'll get hit by a strike from YouTube instantly. 6.3 million followers. Fucking hell, he got there quick, didn't he? He got 116 million views on a 6-second face-off with Logan Paul.
It's hilarious, honestly.
Probably made like 20p.
Oh, sure. I mean, there's no money to be made there. The point is optics, because I've looked at the comments. They were like, "Damn, I'm not a big fan of Logan Paul, but all right, I guess Trump's not so bad." And I'm like, "Yeah, see, it's working. Very smart, very smart." Whoever's in charge of that PR to do that specific, bit,
Yeah,
the whole TikTok, and to make him more,
interpersonal.
I guess, relatable, personable.
Yeah,
That person deserves a raise.
He was getting Trump was at a UFC contest not so long ago, and he got one of the fighters ran to him after their fight and
after breaking the other guy's arm because
Yeah.
he wouldn't tap because he's an idiot.
Hey, look, some people aren't quitters. At least
That's fine.
I'll agree.
afterwards,
I'll agree. He's a twat. He should have tapped because you can live to fight another day. Now he's got to deal with the recovery.
no, he literally had he wouldn't tap. The guy looks to the ref, going, "Are you sure about this?" Ref can't do nothing. He goes, "Okay," snap, and then after it's over, the other fighter does like the hand shrug, like, "What do you do that for, bro?" I'm like, man, he didn't even give a shit.
Like, fam, he couldn't like as far as arm bars and all that kind of crap. Kimura locks go. Like, you can't just hold someone in that lock and threaten to break it for a 5-minute round. You've got to eat. You don't get paid overtime in this. You get bonuses, sure, but you don't get paid overtime. So if you got a chance to finish them, you fucking finish them. It's not
Yeah,
like it's
they
not
just-
like it's not
They
the cringe.
needed to fucking do it though. Like,
It's not the cringe of the 2v1 Eddie Hall versus two microscopic sized humans in an MMA fight where he powerbombed one and then chinned them when they ran at him for a tackle.
mhm.
Literally, the guy's 350 pounds. The guy got powerbombed while the other guy's trying to tackle him. The guy got powerbombed, gets up and runs towards Eddie when Eddie strikes his hand out. You're getting double the impact because you're running towards that fist, and he gets knocked out.
Yeah.
Like, fam.
The problem is that some people, they need to really take care of themselves, and when you're in that blind, like, oh, I can fight out of it.
Yeah,
The armbar is such a detrimental thing for you to break and then try to fix, because it's not supposed to have been that way.
Yeah, it's not. It was a go-to for Ronda Rousey for a lot of her wins. The armbar.
Great move.
It's consistent, simple, and it's one of the hardest to break out of. You've got to really fuck the person who's doing it to his ankle, or you've got to find a way to clasp your hands together again. If you can't grip them together, lift that person up and slam them down exceedingly hard, you're done.
Get out from underneath the leg so you can turn your arm.
Yeah, you've got to do something. You've got to roll it out in some way. But the leg, if anyone puts you in an armbar, chances are they don't skip leg day.
No.
The moment they twist their legs and wrap them up, you're done. I'm sorry. It's like the cringe of the ankle lock from the old days. Once the legs are wrapped around you, you're not going anywhere. It's just not happening.
But yes, no. Trump has had a great public-facing persona when it comes to a relatable dude.
Yeah,
right?
His PR,
which I think is amazing.
It's funny
It's
because
incredible.
you don't hear much about it in the news. You're hearing more about, but he's got all this going on. It's like, okay.
Mhm.
I had to find out about the Hunter Biden thing when someone put it on a server. I think someone might put it on my on Moistonia. I didn't know about it until I saw it randomly.
Oh, really?
It's not. I saw Hunter Biden trending briefly, but it was so brief.
Uh-huh.
My neck of the woods, it's not as prominent. We got like Rishi Sunak and freaking Keir Starmer and Nigel Farage.
Rishi Sunak is not going to have a job soon.
Yes, well, I'm not entirely convinced Keir Starmer will have it either.
No, him neither.
I'm not as convinced right now because of the rise of Farage. It's getting a bit strange, but we'll see. I would like to talk about it, but I don't know how to because I haven't read the Conservative Manifesto. I've been told it's embarrassing, and I've got it on my list here. It's 80 pages, and I don't know what the best ones are. I should keyword search or something.
I genuinely think that if the Conservatives can pull out some sort of win, despite them having this historic loss recently, I would be actually shocked and very, very impressed.
I mean, in that instance, much like Macron, if he manages to win this general election, if Rishi Sunak managed to win this, it would be considered a massive Chad move. Because there's no way he wins, but if he does, how the did you manage that?
Yeah, honestly, if the Conservatives can somehow argue well enough to keep their jobs, they better have some damn good points.
Honestly, there was a debate between Sunak and Keir Starmer, and I'm going to say now I did watch that, and it was embarrassing how inept Keir looked because he just didn't have that. He did. So years ago, I watched Sargon of Akkad debate Christy Winters. Was that her name? Was Fisty Winters, 50 Splinters, whatever her name was.
Maybe.
Yeah, her. And he was over prepared, and he clearly got done in because of that. Because you go into you do too much research, and then you try and spew out all the extra. He kind of came across as someone who put in a bit too much effort. It didn't flow naturally. He went on attack on points that didn't need to be attacked because everyone knew it already. Whereas Rishi Sunak he's just inept anyway. Yeah. And then there was debates as well between like deputy leaders and leaders of minor parties. And I watched that, and Farage was on one of those. And him, Angela Rayner, the SNP leader in Parliament, and a few other idiots, losers. And a poll was done afterwards, and Farage won it by 25% of the vote to 19% for Angela Rayner. That was impressive. I think who's the deputy for the Conservatives? Is it Penny Mordaunt? No.
She was leader of the House?
No, I don't know. Whoever it was that's deputy for the Conservatives, I think it was some idiot, loser, no doubt. they didn't get very well on the points either. But I know that the top two were Rayner and Farage, and it was interesting because Farage has, and no one likes to admit this, whether he's an instigator of Brexit or I don't care what he did, because I supported Brexit. I don't give a shit. I really don't. You can insult him. You can throw milkshakes at him, which people have been doing. Right? You can take shots at him all you like for his policies, even though he's been proven right about a number of things the EU were going to do. He was proven right when we left. He is a fantastic orator, and when you argue with him, he has a natural flair for it. Like, he will argue with you. You could argue about something really. If you got him to play Pokemon, right? Yellow, yeah. Or Pokemon, any of the starter three, yeah, let's go with that. Bulbasaur, Squirtle, Charmander. And you told him you need to pick the weakest one of the three, and you now need to defend it. He'll win that debate.
Mm-hmm.
And Bulbasaur shit.
I wasn't gonna say nothing, but
I'm right. Okay, but that's what he'll do. He will win a debate claiming Bulbasaur's the best one. Get off your high horse. But that's what he's good at. He's good at that kind of arguing. People don't like to admit it, but you have to be able to sometimes look at him and realize he's a threat because he is that good. Now, I don't think he'll get many seats at all, but any seats are seats regardless. And they're seats that Labour or the Conservatives want. Conservative is fractured. Labour is taking in Conservatives, which means Labour, by extension, are kind of becoming Conservative. Because they can't become the leftist party they were under Corbyn. They can't. They also then, by extension, can't push for a reunification with the EU, which they shouldn't do anyway. If they try that, that's going to lead to further problems down the line because it betrays a vote that's already happened. Although I should point out, almost every person in Parliament at present would want to rejoin the EU anyway, except for those that have, let's say, been pushed to the back bench of the Conservatives and will undoubtedly consider making Reform UK another thing. And the EU is definitely more useless than NATO, although NATO is not far behind. Although, I'm reading the chat, David. He sat right next to me, he just typed it in there. The EU is useless. The elections, far-right populism rose. Okay, what are we going to do? Stamp it out! Oh, that's what you do. Oh, that's how you address... Oh, that's quaint. We did that here once. It didn't work out so well. And people try to do it in your country as well. And look what's happened. Trump take two. Electric boogaloo. Like, you're ignoring people and instead of going with unity, which you quaintly try, you instead go on the attack because you're pussies. All right, you do you, boo. I'll listen. I'll play along with this joke of a system. As long as I can get my whiskey, I don't care.
Scotland. Brilliant. That comes from Scotland.
Indeed. So, what do you think in terms of the future for, at least when you mentioned Farage, do you think he's going to get any kind of backlash for his behaviors in all of this?
He's had people in the streets throwing milkshakes in his face. Okay.
Yeah.
He gets
but
backlash.
he also has, but he's also getting a lot of populism behind him. Do you think
he is,
one will
and
win out than the others?
You cannot, much like with Brexit, you cannot ignore that. He speaks to a certain type of people in this country, and many of us fall within that bracket. But it's whether or not he can garner the votes in key areas to get enough votes to get enough members to start making impact, because it can't be an instantaneous impact. But if he got so we do it by constituency, obviously. So if he got during the next election, I think wasn't it that led up to Brexit, UKIP got a fair few million votes in a general election in 2015. If he got millions of votes again, just with reform or whatever it is he's doing, people have to take notice. You can't ignore that, because this country is not big enough to ignore 4 million people or 2 million people or one. You have to listen to it. It's like when Brexit happened, the gap between them, and it was a huge turnout, the gap was roughly 1 million voters. Now, in the context of the country, that sounds like a lot, but in the percentage, it wasn't that much at all, because so many people turned out to vote. I think it's vitally important, though, to not ignore that. That's why when we did start to negotiate terms for an exit, I agreed that some concessions had to be made to make it a slightly softer Brexit. It shouldn't. I at the same time, when it got infuriating, I was like, no, fuck it, we just get out now. I'm done with this shit.
I was gonna say that whole
It was a
thing was
debacle.
absolutely fucking tragic.
It's why I
to
don't
watch.
support a reunification, because I know damn well what will happen. First of all, they'll force us to change to the euro because stagnant currency is totally the way forward. We will undoubtedly lose. We won't be given any privileges or powers. We'll definitely be pushed down the pecking order because every country in Europe hates us, and up until the point we helped Ukraine for a little bit. We will basically have no voice at any stage of any debate or discussion, and we will have to do exactly as we're told. And I don't want that. I want this country to be independent and work it out. Fucking hell. Neither party has an idea how to do that, but it's hilarious. I am hydrating. I have been drinking Jameson's Stout Cask Cough. Whoever said that in the chat, I ban them.
That was MJ that said you needed water.
Oh, water.
Yeah.
I thought water over there was some heavy on. It's on my wish list. I'm just saying.
Chaos. Chaos.
But yeah, no. The EU is. I'm sure it works for some countries, fine, but it doesn't for us. It didn't for us, and Cameron gave up her last veto to try and get something done, and it failed. The last prime minister the EU ever feared was Margaret Thatcher, and she's universally hated in this country. But she got more from the EU than we ever got from them. Every prime minister after gave up power. Why the fuck would you do that? And they did it in good faith, apparently. Like, no, you did it because it benefited you and your friends. There's a word for that. It starts with R. I can't say it on YouTube because I'll get a strike. Ends with Ard.
Oh, I got you. Don't worry.
Yeah, I do think that Keir is going to win, but I don't think he's going to get. I just don't think he's going to get a majority. He might get a minority government and have to do a coalition. Because I think the Conservatives are going to fracture for a long time now, and I think that's going to lead to a Labour government for at least the next 5 to 10 years. I think they'll have to do a coalition for the first 5, like the Conservatives did, and then they'll probably get a majority the next 5. And I do worry because they're the only party that have ever discussed potentially rejoining. It's sort of something that Keir Starmer's alluded to. And other members within his backbenchers have mentioned it as well. And I really hope they don't. You need to... We left, okay? We, as the United Kingdom, whether other countries within it voted to stay or not, or London as its own entity voted to not, whether my friend David here voted to leave or not, he voted to remain. He should be hung for that, of course.
And to leave.
Sorry? Oh, yes, you voted for your parents as well. Very good of you to at least do that honestly. So the point is, though, we left. That's it. There should be no discussion at any point of rejoining. There should instead be discussions to improve what we have and make the most of the opportunity to prove that we are one of the biggest and best nations in this world. And not on landmass size, I mean in what we can accomplish. Like, we can do so much more outside of the EU if any politician is willing to actually have the balls to put the effort in. But they're only interested in doing what serves them best to look good in the moment. And rejoining is the worst possible idea. It just shows how weak you are at trying to do it. That's all it does. And it will only benefit those who monetarily stand to gain if we rejoin the EU from some kind of market boost in some place or contracts that they have. It will definitely be so much insider trading involved.
You want to know something that's interesting? You think the Labour will still try to rejoin the EU if Germany ends up as a, I guess, fascist far-right country?
Germany. Well, Germany doesn't have, I've been told this reliably, they don't really have a, what we would consider a far-right leaning party. Because generally that is, yeah, basically it's not really allowed. But you can,
right,
but,
it's true.
But there are some conservative ideas, strangely. Because, like, Merkel's party is a Christian party, isn't it? That's considered somewhat conservative by nature because it's faith-based. That's conservative is generally considered tradition-based, and that's faith, and faith is... It's strange to me. I know it's not entirely faith and conservative, I know. Don't be pedantic in my chat, and not you either, because you're a tosser for it. Please don't be, but you know what I mean. Don't be pedantic. Not you. People in the audience, you know exactly who I'm talking to, Chaos and Ola. But there is a rise in more right-leaning ideas. It will happen to every country. It's when I saw a video the other day, actually, and I can tie this into Germany handily. I saw a video of protesters in New York of a man standing and saying, "I wished Hitler was still here so he could wipe all of you out." And I'm sat here like, bitch, only in America would someone have the balls to say that, not realizing just how... I mean, if he said that in any other... He said that in Germany, he would have been arrested instantly. It'd be instant arrest for hate speech. And there's a guaranteed prison sentence. And you can have all the oppression points. You're going to jail. You don't pass go. You don't collect your 200 shitty euros or your 200 real pounds. You go straight to prison. Right? And that was African American guy at a protest in New York City. He said, "I wish Hitler was here just so he could wipe you all out." And he pointed at the group. I'm like, it was obviously a Palestine-Israel protest, and I'm just like, that is the boldest and most, like, you can hide behind certain shields because of that comment. But if anyone knows, if you have a job and someone goes to that job, you are getting fired instantaneously. Honestly, that's how I tie into it.
That's a lot.
It's a bit much, isn't it?
It's like, there's a limit. Like, I can tolerate quite a bit. There is a limit.
Yeah, it's a bit much. I guess what I'll do is I'll leave it on that because we are at the hour limit. Are we here next week, Trups?
I think so.
Brilliant, because I'll do it back here in the cabin again. I quite like doing this. It's a good spot. It's not cold, is it? No. Okay, well, thank you everyone for joining us. We really appreciate it. We are going to disappear. This will be up on Spotify and Rumble tomorrow. I didn't put the last one up because I had internet issues and I couldn't be asked to sit on my computer and do something that didn't yield a result. Thank you again for joining. Really appreciate it. And for the members, new memberships, thank you, Penguin, for that. We are also very grateful, Penguin, because I know it was you that sent the donation over coffee towards the Norwich Fund. Dave will be receiving half of that. Half after tax and PayPal cut. So, yeah, that. Thank you again. We'll see you next week. Say goodnight, Trups.
Good night, Trups.
Night, Trups.